Hey everyone, welcome to the Slice of Real Estate podcast. I'm your host, Jared Taylor. Joining me today is the co-founder and chief strategy officer of Final Offer, Tim Quirk. Tim, how's it going?
Jared, doing great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Excited to have you here. Let's dive right in. What I always ask people is you're walking down the street in a Final Offer sweatshirt. Someone goes, what does that company do? What do you tell them?
Yeah. I ask them, do they ever buy or sell a property? And most of the time, depending on their age, the answer is yes. And so then I'm like, well, when you sold your home, did you ever feel like you left money on the table? It's pretty wild, the outcome and the answers that they give. Almost every single person's like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, why? They're like, I don't even know. I just feel like I did. And same thing, whether you've rented or whether you've owned, have you ever gone through the competitive process? Did you ever make an offer on a property, not have it accepted? Then you saw what it went for and you're like, hey, I would have done better than that. Why didn't I have a chance? That's what Final Offer is all about.
When you start telling them this stuff and they start telling their story, do they ever get teary-eyed because of how sad they are about the process that took place? Like you and I were talking a little bit, and I want you to tell this story.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people out there that miss out on a home, not once, not twice, but 10 plus times. And you have a story in particular of someone that was even more than that. Talk us through first off, obviously how painful it is to lose and to keep losing out on these homes, and then how Final Offer is helping that not happen.
Sure. And yeah, and to answer your question before, so what Final Offer is it's an offer and negotiation platform for residential real estate that allows real estate agents to bring more transparency and more process and more real-time information to the transaction. Right. And so what we've done is we've expanded this into a collaboration suite for agents to be able to collaborate in real time with their clients. Have I asked those questions before and people have gotten teary-eyed? Yes. We've actually had people invest just from asking those questions. It is that powerful of a situation where most people don't go through it that often in their lifetimes. And for the agents that do it all day, every day, even for them, what I found amazing, and we have some of the best agents in the United States on our team now, they get emotional as they're going through it as well. So it's on both sides. This touches the heart of everyone when you find the house that you want to live in, that you want to raise your family in, and then you have no control over the outcome, right? The buying process is broken. The selling process is broken. The first property that we ever put on the Final Offer platform, where the agent put this listing up for sale, they had lots of people come through the property. The buyer that ultimately purchased this property had lost 17 times in a row. And this was a younger couple that were trying to get into this particular community. And they just couldn't, for the life of themselves and their agent, understand why they kept losing. They finally had the answers and had the information in front of them to make a decision as to how they wanted to make an offer. Did they want to negotiate, or did they just want to go purchase it outright? They decided to negotiate, but they had the information laid out in front of them in terms of the price, in terms that the seller wanted. And they had all the information about what type of competition there was and what competition could come in on the property as they made that offer. Ultimately, a second buyer came into the mix and made another offer. In this case, both of these offers, these buyers had agreed that their offers could be publicly displayed. And they both had the information to make decisions. Did they want to improve their offer, or did they want to walk away? And ultimately, this couple was able to purchase the property, start their family, and get into the community that they wanted. And from a teary-eyed perspective, yeah, they were teary-eyed at the kitchen table when they were presented how the property was being sold.
Let's talk about how market changes can affect someone using Final Offer. So how does Final Offer kind of, I'm assuming it works the same no matter the market, but like how do you adapt, and how do you see the market heading, I guess? So how do you adapt, and where do you see the real estate market heading, let's say next 2 years?
Sure, yeah. So, when it comes to the market, whether there's low inventory like there is now, or whether as more inventory is coming on the market, right? I mean, real estate's local. So in certain markets already in the US, it's a buyer's market. In other cases, it's still a seller's market. In some cases, it's neutral. Regardless of how that works, at the end of the day, it's all about pricing and how much attention and attraction you can gain to a property from a seller's perspective to be able to get the best outcome for themselves. It might not be ultimately what they want, depending on if it's a buyer's market. But at the end of the day, in order to be able to get the best outcome for themselves, they got to be able to create the most attention and the most interest in it. right? And so from our perspective, the way that we see it in terms of the platform we provide, it doesn't matter whether it's a up market or down market or neutral market. This gives everyone more of a level playing field to be able to make their best offer, and for sellers to make sure that they don't lose money on the table by giving every potential buyer the opportunity to make an offer that they will accept, regardless if they're all cash, what type of financing they have, or anything else. Sellers can be upfront with how they're going to value and weigh those offers versus others. And so people can make a decision if they want to make a stronger offer or not.
And anything in life, trust is critical. Trust is crucial in real estate. How does final offer ensure trust between all the parties involved?
Sure. So when you go to, if you ever went to put an offer on a property, right? Did you have any idea what that process was when you went through it? Did you know what was going to happen when they were
No.
going to accept an offer? No, right? Not a clue. So what the parties do with final offer is they work with their agents, so the buyers and sellers work with their agents, and the agents walk them through the process and how it works. Sellers are able to put up to 3 different options in terms of how a buyer can make an offer on their home. They can list a property just like they do today with a list price, which really doesn't mean anything. It's just an advertisement. Or they can put what we call the final offer on it, the final offer button, which is what's the price and terms that you can buy my property for right now. If you walk in, you see it, you like it, here's the price, here's a set of terms you can agree to. Anyone that does that, I'll accept that offer as a seller immediately. And the third is, what's the minimum? What's the bottom line that the seller will commit to take up front, or commit to take by signing a contract up front, right? Saying here, Jared, here's the price and terms that I'll accept from you, maybe 2 days from now or 3 days from now, so long as no one else comes in and makes a better offer than you when that deadline occurs. So for a fact how the process is being run. So for sellers, if they use those other options besides the list price, they're actually signing a contract up front, committing to actually take that offer based off of that process. On the buy side, it's the same thing. So the buyers and their agents, they're signing an agreement up front, just stating that we agree to the terms and conditions. We know that our offer could potentially be disclosed to the public, that we have an option if there's a final offer price on that to be able to purchase it outright immediately, no questions asked, no negotiation. And the buyer needs to upload a pre-approval or proof of fund. Their agent will send that over to the listing agent to ultimately approve that, right? And so between having that pre-approval uploaded up front and signing a contract, now you know that there are qualified buyers that are making offers. It's not just some random person off the street trying to swindle their way into the process. And so that's really important because from a consumer's perspective, folks do this 2, 3, 4 times in their life. They need to trust that. And when it comes to trust, just look at the macro environment across the entire world. We are in a trust deficit, right? Edelman, the largest PR company in the world, they do a trust study every year. We're at one of the lowest points of trust in the United States in decades. And when you look at the real estate industry, unfortunately, the industry has gotten itself into a bit of a pickle with the lawsuits and subsequently the settlements that are occurring. And the consumer base just doesn't know what to take. And ultimately, there's a lack of trust there. And one of the things when it comes to trust is we even ask that question, right? So our customers are real estate agents. We ask them during webinars 2 questions. And one of those questions is, do you trust other agents? We've polled hundreds of agents. Do you have any clue as to how many say they don't trust each other?
I couldn't even guess.
No. 91% say that
91?
they don't trust other agents. Yeah, 91. Now, that has nothing to do with, it's not exposing the industry or anything. It exposes the process. The fact that agents can't trust each other is a big deal. We have an agent on our team. She's now our chief knowledge officer, Jocelyn Voss. And so Jocelyn was the number 2 independent real estate agent in all Washington, D.C. a couple years ago. She came onto our team. She had a listing. Well, before that, she came onto our team where she used final offer with a stale listing. She could not move and was able to actually get 2 buyers to come to the table, make offers, and get the best outcome for her seller, and the buyers were thrilled. She has used this on all of the listings that she has had in the DC area since, yet sometimes she does business in West Virginia, and the final offer platform still isn't in West Virginia yet. She ran a process just like she did on Final Offer, except she didn't have a way to be able to publicly disclose what the terms of the offers were. So she told all of the agents. Well, guess what? None of the agents believed her. She was upfront. She was being true. She was telling all of the buyers and their agents what was in front of them, and yet no one believed her because they don't trust the process. So by being able to have a process online that people can then go and trust because they can see what each party is entering into, that's a huge benefit to be able to speed up the transaction, make it easier for people to understand, and ultimately for real estate agents that are using this platform, they can use that as a way to differentiate themselves and grow the business because consumers want trust and they want to be able to know that they can trust what they're getting into with one of the largest purchase or transaction decisions of their lifetime.
Not to simplify, because I what you've done is, this is awesome, but like to give the audience, maybe like an analogy is, I always view it in the early days of eBay when you were bidding back and forth on an item, right? You didn't know whether you were going to win or someone was going to come in at the last second and put another bid. You basically have the take it off the table structure within your platform, right? Where if you want something bad enough, you'll obviously have to pay a premium. But who's to say you weren't going to pay that premium in a bidding war, back and forth, right? So what I would love for you to do is first tell us where you're live today. Where does Final Offer work? I know you have a bunch of other states that are coming in the near future. And then let's also talk through from a buyer standpoint. All right, someone signs up. What does their process look like? I think our audience would love to hear that.
Yeah, so pretty straightforward. So we are now live in 10 US states and 2 Canadian provinces. So you can go onto our website, finaloffer.com, scroll down on the homepage, you'll see the areas that we're in. We're primarily on the East Coast between Massachusetts, the Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, Carolinas, Florida, Georgia, live in Tennessee and Iowa. In Canada, we're live in both Ontario and Alberta as of a couple months ago. And what we're finding is, and we're going to numerous other states over the next several months, Connecticut, New York, Texas are the next on the list. But we're seeing that this isn't just a solution for North America. We have demand coming at us from all over the globe. It's the same problem everywhere. And so for buyers in the way that they sign up, so they can do it one of two ways. If they're working with their agent, they can connect with their agent on our website. Just think of it just like LinkedIn. And then they're able to collaborate and work with their agent. So what's great about Final Offer is we just announced a new solution called Channels today, actually, which is random because we didn't have this scheduled when we were doing that. Which, think of it kind of like Slack, where agents can come in and invite their buyer clients, or buyers can come in and connect with their agents, and then their agents and themselves, they can collaborate with each other on searching specific areas, saving properties, commenting on it. But then what's unique about Final Offer is that whenever a property that's using our platform to run the negotiation process gets an offer, or changes the price, or changes the terms of sale that the seller wants, they get a real-time alert immediately. They can get it through the platform, they can get it through an email, they can get it through a text message. So now you can get a real-time idea of what's happening in your market with real-time alerts that are going out. And who doesn't want to know what their neighbor's house sells for? You never know until it settles on the public record. With any property in Final Offer where the price and terms are exposed, you know that immediately. So it gives you a leg up in understanding what's currently going on in the market. And if you're not moving, you can chat with your friends and family about, hey, did you see what that house just went for down the street? Which is actually a major benefit for agents because they're able to use that data, that information as a way to be able to grow their sphere of influence. So for buyers, if they're on the site and they're not working with a real estate agent, they can go and they can request home tours. They can save properties and searches. Really simple. You sign up with a Google account, with a Facebook account, or with an email, and that's it. And then you can do it just like any other site that's out there for real estate. All the listings are on there and you can search for property. If they're not working with an agent and they want to make an offer, if they click in to make an offer or schedule a tour, we ask, are they working with an agent? If they're not, we'll connect them with the agent that represents the seller, the listing agent that knows about the property, so that they can connect with them, get more information and questions answered, and then that agent can decide what they do with that particular consumer. So it gives the agents that are using this platform a means to be able to connect with buyers that don't have representation or aren't working with an agent yet, and gives them the opportunity for all the work they did to get that listing they now have the ability to grow their business doing it as well.
I'll just say too, like everyone go check out, if you haven't checked out the platform, go check it out because you really did a great job. I'm a big fan of, really nice UI, UX, and you nailed that. It is clean. It is easy to navigate. I don't need a bunch of, pointers on how to get around the pages.
Yeah.
And you have really good, really clean profiles on the different properties that are also on the site. Um, what was some of like when you were starting this? Like, what were some of the early challenges that you ran into, and then how did you get past them?
Yeah, I mean, for us, so look, the way that real estate has been the same forever, and you'll hear that from everyone. It's the same process for the past 100 years, and so when it comes to changing the heart of what the transaction is, which is the negotiation, is that a big deal? Yeah, it is, right? And so most agents are accustomed to that and used to that. When we first launched Final Offer, especially in the DC area, they're like, "Hey, can we just want to write an offer the way we normally do? Can we just submit it that way?" And the thing is, they didn't even want to take 2 minutes to understand how to make an offer through the site or on their phone. And so our team, we've got a whole concierge team that works with them. They call in and then they realize, wait a second, all I have to do is sign up. It takes me 2 minutes, and then I can literally write an offer in less than 30 seconds. In that market, it can take folks up to an hour to write up an offer contract to submit that they don't even know if it'll be accepted. And so too many agents spend too much time on the weekends and on Mondays and Tuesdays away from their family, or getting pulled away from their family from some type of an event because their client calls and says, "I want to make an offer on such and such property." So changing that behavior from that agent having to leave the soccer game to pull up their laptop and connect to their cell phone and then write an offer for an hour. Believe it or not, you'd think that would be very easy to change, but it wasn't, at least to begin with, because that was just what they were accustomed to. So for us, getting the word out about how this really helps all of the agents on both sides of the transaction to be more efficient and to be able to work with their clients and not waste time is huge. And it also gives them more information to be able to consult with their clients, both on the buy side and the sell side, to ultimately decide what they want to do.
I love it. Tim, what's next? What's next that really excites you with the platform?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, so we just announced the Final Offer channels and the whole collaboration suite within the platform itself. We've had thousands of agents asking us for this very functionality so that they could have, as you mentioned, the UI was something that was extremely important to us. We're 3 out of the 4 of us that founded the company are technologists at heart. We wanted this to be easy to use. And so folks that have seen this both on the agent side but also the consumer side, they're like, why wouldn't I want to use this? It's beautiful. It's easy to use. I never realized how clunky the other services are that I'm using. Now I can use something that's actually a pleasure to use. And for the agents, it's a much better way to be able to connect with clients that they'll actually want to use it. So for us, getting this out there into the hands of agents and using it with their clients is really big for us. The other piece is, there's a lot of change coming on August 17th for the real estate agent community. And for us to be able to help embrace the changes and giving agents a solution to be able to prove their worth, to be able to have a platform to actually discuss what buyer representation means, and a way to give them the ability to connect with their clients in a way that shows meaningful value that they can talk about, is something that's really important. The other big piece of this is agents are worried about, well, how do we get paid on the buy side? Well, it's pretty simple. It's always been negotiated. It just hasn't been thought of that way. So now the ability to put that into the actual offer and negotiate it, now it's just a negotiation point. It's a deal point the way that it always has been. It's just more as part of the offer. And it gives an easy way for the listing agent and the seller to be able to compare offer to offer, because ultimately it's the net offer that matters. It doesn't matter whether someone's paying a real estate agent or not. You might just have to pay a little more, include a little more money in your offer in order to be able to do so. And so we're giving that solution in our platform. It's already in there. So from day one, agents will be able to solve that problem.
Well, Tim, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story and giving us a kind of an overview of Final Offer. And congrats on the latest announcement. And we'll definitely stay in touch for any other announcements and what's happening with Final Offer. But thanks so much.
Yeah, Jared, thank you for having me. Pleasure.